potentially a tour-ending injury. Let's hope it's not as bad as that, but certainly you don't want to sustain a fracture this early on.
Absolutely not. But unfortunately, that can happen. That's why you've got to be a bit careful.
Next ball from Miles. Played very late onto the leg side by Agarwal. There's no run. Those of you following us from further afield, wondering where we are, we're in the northeast of England. We're about 10 miles away from the North Sea coast at Seaham. Newcastle, big city in the area, about 12 miles to the north. Sunderland, another huge city, about 10 miles away to the northeast, and we're about 80 miles or so away from the Scottish border. It's being played behind closed doors. Next ball is driven into the offside, took a kindly bounce into the hands of Liam Patterson-White. I think there's a few of the families of the Indian side here in the ground. Could perhaps just hear a youngster shouting there on our FX microphone. They've got a good view up on the hospitality seats right at the top there of the Don Robson Pavilion away to our left.
It's a good spot.
Yeah.
To come and watch the game and just be in the hospitality boxes, enjoy the whole hospitality Durham has to offer.
Agarwal has 8. Craig Miles digs this one in short, and not the tallest of openers, is he? Agarwal, he was easily able to veer out of the line and let it go through to the keeper.
That was a brilliant bouncer, absolutely brilliant, well directed, with some very good wheels on it as well, and Agarwal did very well to just get his body and hand away from it, left it really, really well, watched the ball all the way along. Very, very good technique. Any youngster watching, that's the way you want to leave a bouncer.
Miles generating some decent speed here early on. Bowls the ball that's then pushed into the offside. Washington Sundar making a partial stop. Saved it going away for 3 or perhaps even 4, but they do take 2. Wasn't able to gather it in cleanly. A couple more to Agarwal, who's on to 10. And India have 12 without loss. They led on first innings by 91, but I'm guessing that's all really irrelevant, isn't it? We're not going to have a competitive game, I don't think, unless things start to turn around quite dramatically.
And looking at the pitch, it doesn't seem like things going to change much. It still looks a flat pitch. The only ball you need to be a bit worried about is the one which keeping a bit low.
Miles in again to Agarwal, gets on the front foot and pushes it into the covers to Patterson-White. 3 overs have gone this morning, 12 without loss. This is coverage of the first-class counties match against the Indian touring side. I was listening to you yesterday, Abby, with Kevin Howells, and I was reminiscing about Lumley Castle and all the stories. Shane Watson is the one that always comes up, but I understand there was a great story also when India stayed here back in, I think it was 2002, with Sourav Ganguly. He was also one that was a little spooked by the comings and goings allegedly in the middle of the night here at Lumley Castle. Bring in a second because Lyndon James is in to bowl to Pujara, clips that on the leg side. It was slightly uppish, but didn't make it all the way to the fielder.
Yeah, it was a bit aerial. Very lucky that the ball didn't pop straight to the fielder. Got to be a bit careful with that shot. Cheteshwar Pujara with the shot mid-wicket catching where Hameed is standing. Just got to be a touch careful when he's looking to flick the ball off his pads on the onside. James looking to bowl wicket to wicket. 2 slips.
Comes in and bowls again, nicely defended by Pujara. James made his Nottinghamshire debut back in 2018. He hasn't featured much in the couple of years since then, but has played every game this year, really having a breakthrough year. And that first game on his debut, bowled Murali Vijay, which is a decent wicket to get on your first class debut. Come back to that Ganguly story in a second or two. As Lyndon James passed the umpire bowls and Pujara defends. Yeah, it's something that Saurav himself wrote. We were up in Durham playing a match at Chesterley Street. We were being looked after at Lumley Castle. It's a beautiful hotel which overlooks the ground, and as captain I was taken up to my suite. It was a magnificent room. It had got everything in it you could want. We finished training for the day. I went back to my room, we had dinner, and then I went back for the night, closed the curtains and switched off the lights and went to bed. Here's Lyndon James in bowls. Pujara pushes it to point. Jake Libby doing the fielding. There's no run. Ganguly again. He said he couldn't sleep all night. Every time he fell asleep he was woken up by the tap coming on. He could hear water running from the taps in the bathroom. He kept getting up, switching on the lights, going to check the taps, turn them on, turn them off, wondering if he dreamt it. Perhaps it was coming from another room, but every time, as soon as he went to sleep, he was woken up by the sound of running water coming from the bathroom. And this went on, he said, 4 or 5 times. Next ball is pushed into the offside. He could take it no longer. I couldn't sleep. I was concerned. I'd heard the stories about the ghosts, so I jumped out of my room. By this stage I was absolutely terrified. I went to Robin Singh's room, knocked on the door and asked if I could sleep on the floor. So it's not only Shane Watson, it's Saurav Ganguly, obviously a former Indian captain and legend, the Prince of Kolkata. There's Lyndon James bowling, and it's steered to backward point.
And currently the president of BCCI.
Yes, indeed, yeah. Do you think there's anything in it?
You'll have to ask Saurav if he felt it.
I can tell you something here. We're commentating in a room which over the last 2 or 3 years has now become it's the end of the over, by the way. It remains 12 without loss. This has become the main commentary room, but we used to do the commentaries the other side of the wall away to our right, and every time I went in there with a laptop, I couldn't control the mouse. And literally, this happened over a couple of years, 5 or 6 times coming here. My mouse would react all on its own, and I don't know.
There might be something.
Well,
probably that's the reason they've changed the rooms now.
Yeah, that may be. That may be, but I've always had a bit of a feeling here. As Miles bowls a nice little open cut by Agarwal down to third man. He'll get 4 runs for that. Again, just slightly short and wide. Miles trying to bang it in. He's had a little bit of success with the quicker ball this morning, Craig Miles, but Agarwal was expecting that, ran it away for 4.
I think he's wrecking up the pace here, Miles, and that was again a good delivery. And Agarwal, yes, he was looking to go for that shot, but later on he just tried to leave it, but the ball caught the upper part of the bat over the slip fielders for yet another boundary for Mayank Agarwal. It's India on 12 at the moment, 16 I think after that ball.
Yeah, I don't think they've
the not updated the score yet. So 16, Mayank Agarwal batting on 14 after that.
And comes Miles in again, bowls to Agarwal, plays it down in the ground off the bottom of the bat, and somehow it finds its way to first slip. I don't know, you could spend a long time just wondering how that ball had got from the bottom of his bat behind him, past him, and through on the half volley to first slip, but it did.
Yeah, that's the only ball they need to be a bit careful and aware of, because there are balls which are keeping quite low. As long as they're not on the stumps and outside the off stump, they'll be fine. But they just got to be a bit careful with those sort of deliveries.
Still waiting for the sun to break through this heavy overhead cloud cover as Craig Miles bowls a nice full pitch delivery, which...
Big stride forward, bat and pad really nicely close to each other, no gap, because he got out in that fashion in the first innings, so making sure that there is no gap between the bat and pad and he's not pushing. Very good technique from Mayank Agarwal. Good cricket overall. It's been a good over from Miles. Good 3 balls so far.
He's relishing the challenge here, Craig Miles. So is Agarwal. Works this to leg. Fielded by Washington Sundar. It remains 16 without loss. Agarwal has seen the majority of the strikers, 14 of them. Pujara just a couple of runs. Not sure of the Indian batting order today, but you'd presume KL Rahul will be pushed quite a way down the order, and got plenty of time in the middle on the first day, scoring a really splendid century. Jadeja made 75. There's Miles. 2 balls left in this over. Again, Agarwal just happy to rock forward. Steers this one to Libby at point, no run.
Yeah, again, very good batting. Just that big stride forward. Bat and pad nicely close to each other. Just keeping a very close eye on the ball here. Mayank Agarwal watching it all the way onto his bat. He wants to play a big knock here. He's got a lot of time. He's got all day to bat here and try and make a point. There is, as you mentioned earlier, there are a couple of spots for grab in the Indian team as well. So it's important that he gets a few runs.
There is Craig Miles bowling to Agarwal. Probably get a single here. Just played it in that little gap between Hameed at third slip and Jake Libby at point. Takes a single. 17 without loss. We've had 5 overs this morning here at Emirates Riverside, and India have steered their way through relatively calm water with Agarwal 15, Pujara 2. Another word from Abhishek, and then for the first time this morning it'll be Kevin Howells.
Yeah, it's been a fairly good start by India. They've been very cautious so far, not taking any chances. They want to bat long. Both these players, Pujara needs some runs as well. Didn't have a great couple of innings in the World Test Championship, so he needs to get back in form to start well in the Test.
The next over defensively pushed into the offside. Agarwal is on 15. Yesterday this burnt away, didn't it, this cloud? And though I think that today it's a little bit heavier, looks a little bit more set than it did yesterday morning, but we hope that perhaps it will burn off a little later, because to me, I mean, anywhere in the sun is nice. Any cricket ground in the sunshine is nice, but this one, where you, for some reason, if this doesn't, it probably does make sense, but there's so much sky. Next delivery, bowled into Agarwal, and that's pushed into the offside by Lyndon James. Please just to indulge me on this one. You know what I mean by there's so much sky. You've just got such a lovely view of, such a low. It's a low ground, isn't it? The building not too high, and it's just a fantastic view when the sun's out here.
Yeah, because the stands are so low and you don't have multiple stands. It's just one.
Beautiful.
Yeah, in front of us, and there's so much open space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks lovely when the sun's out and you can see the clear blue sky.
I've always had such a soft spot for this venue. I think it's fantastic. Agarwal is on 15 and into the offside again, just a backward point with a couple of slip fielders here at the moment. Lyndon James, Craig Miles with his 3 overs, 12 runs, and James into his 3rd over as well. So we wait and see what the day will bring. I was just thinking, actually, I never really, well, I haven't asked the question, why do we go for a 3-day first class match and not a 4? A 4 would have been a little interesting, because the way it's been played out so far has been ideal. One team bats on the first day, one team bowls on the second. It would have played out quite brilliantly, maybe.
Yeah.
Next delivery. That's more than a defensive push. It's a push for a run. In fact, it's a push for 2 runs out through extra cover. They'll come back for 2. Could be a 3rd. No, they're going to settle for 2. 19 for no wicket.
But I think it's always the team batting first is not complaining, because they get to bat twice, and the team batting second had to field for 180 overs. So it's a bit, I know what you mean. I mean, why is it not 4-day, which is usually the format you play in first class cricket? Why is it a 3-day match? Because it's because it's a warm-up game.
I know, but you see that there are also a few warm-up matches I've done where on the first day I've been saying, why is this not just a 1-day game?
Yes.
But this one's been so good, I've really genuinely enjoyed it. I'd like another day of it. Oh, and that's a good delivery. Comes back in. It keeps it a bit low on Agarwal as well, but he keeps it out. Remains on 17, 19 for no wicket, a lead of 110 runs. We'll perhaps have people joining us fresh for the first time, so we will keep on reminding you of the match situation. This is the second innings, a lead of 110, but we are expecting India to bat out and bat through the whole day. I wonder if John Lewis, one of the coaches here for the County 11, has actually said to the bowlers, you know what India think they're going to do today? Do you know what they think they're going to do? As next delivery is bowled and defensively pushed into the offside. Do you know, everybody's saying they're going to bat through this whole day. Do you know what? We're not going to let them.
We're gonna roll them over for 60.
Well, I wonder if he'd pushed it quite so much as that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult pitch to roll any team out for 60.
Yeah.
Let alone India. So it's going to be a long day for the County 11 boys out there in the middle. But the good news is that it's a bit overcast. It's not as hot as it's been in the last couple of days.
Yeah. Well, actually, I've still. I mean, you boys are in your shirts, and I could take this jumper off. But I haven't felt the need definitely to take it off yet, which shows it's just a little bit fresher today.
Yeah, it's a bit nippy. I was actually thinking about putting a jumper on.
Yeah, okay. I just haven't had the need to take mine off. I always come overdressed. So overdressed I had to fork out a sizable amount of money last week at Cheltenham to buy a Gloucestershire, and I've nothing against Gloucestershire, a Gloucestershire polo shirt. And very nice it was as well, but it was because I'd just gone overdressed down to Cheltenham, and I don't. You've probably never been to Cheltenham? No, it's a lovely ground, Cheltenham Cottage ground, fantastic, but a bit open, and when the sun's shining, it is again glorious, but it's a bit hot. So I bought this shirt, which I shall wear from time. I have to be very careful. I think apart from not wearing it at Taunton against their arch rival Somerset, I think I'll get away with wearing it most places. But I won't get away with wearing it down at Taunton in the West Country. 19 for no wicket, and James has now bowled 3 overs, 1 made and 7 runs, and it's Miles to continue from the Finkel end. 12 runs he's conceded so far, and he's bowling to, well, he was going to bowl to Pujara. Who pulled out of there for one first? Pujara, was he not quite ready?
Yeah, I think it was the bowler. I think he just got a couple of steps wrong. And again, going back to the point, Kevin, about this match being so good that you don't mind doing another day, and you expect it to go for another day because then you can have a result. It's just because they played it with such high intensity.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, usually whenever you talk about warm-up games, you know it's going to be a bit dull. People are not going to give 100%.
Next ball, punched for no run on the outside.
And over the years, we have seen so many warm-up games going that route where, you see some players not fielding the whole day. There are a lot of chopping and changing in the playing 11. Players go off, players come in. But in the last 2 days, it's been the 11 who have been there out there in the middle. They haven't changed. None of the Indian players went out, and we didn't have any substitution to come out and field for the likes of Rohit or anybody else.
That's right, even in the fielding.
Even in the fielding. So that's why I say the intensity has been so good in this game.
Pujara's on 2, ducks out of the way of that one, and has flown over the keeper. Woo! That went a mile over him.
There's not a lot of planes taking off at the moment, but that ball did take off.
Dear oh dear, and it's flown all the way down to the boundary, and it's been signalled as 4 wide, has it? I think, yeah. 24 for no wicket anyway, in the lead of 115.
A bit of intent from Miles. He's bowled 3 bounces so far, and he's bowled them pretty well, apart from that one which just took off.
What did you say? Wasn't troubling anybody other than air traffic control at Newcastle Airport. They were the only ones that, hey, what's that? Where's that come from?
As I mentioned, not many flights taking off from the Newcastle Airport.
No, it's the top side of town anyway, but they might have seen that one. Full delivery, worked onto the onside, and no run. Yeah, just south of Newcastle, on a clear day you can see Gateshead, just on the outskirts of Newcastle up there, but not right now. We can't see a great deal, can we, outside of the ground itself? See the trees. It is a beautiful setting with all the trees around and the park areas, and got the river just runs just to the right hand side as well. It's a lovely setting. And again Miles turns and comes in past the umpire and bowls now, and played again through square leg, and they will come back for a second run and a comfortable 2, and Pujara moves on to 4. We'll have an update to do in the next 5 minutes or so for 5 Live listeners listening to us on the BBC, on 5 Live Sports Extra digital station, and BBC Sounds for the commentary and updates on 5 Live as well, and of course the commentary working alongside the Durham stream, which I know has been well received. I say I know, and it's lovely that's been well received over the last couple of days. 26 for no wicket, India. Second innings, lead of 117. And Miles in bowls now to Pujara, down the leg side, and a tumbling stop from one of these stories. I keep on referring, and I probably will do throughout the day, the story of Haseeb and Hameed. Well, there have been quite a few stories here, and one for me is 17-year-old James Rew of Somerset. Taunton St Andrews as a cricketer there, and he's here taking on. He's been playing in numerous second 11 matches. But here he finds himself up against the best in the world, and he's done a terrific job,
He's certainly done really well with the gloves.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Looks very confident. Young kid.
So there are lots of little stories here. Next ball bowled. A little bit of width on, that's been given the treatment. It's been punched away. Lovely shot. Races past the man at cover point and over the boundary rope. 4 runs, and Pujara moves on to 8, and the score is 30 for no wicket, lead of 121. This could be a challenge for the county championship team here, for the bowlers to maintain the intensity today. It could be a challenge.
Yeah, it will be a challenge. It's not going to be easy, knowing that they just got a bowl for the next 80 odd overs, and they're not going to get a bat later on, and there's no result which took place in this game either. So at the moment, somewhere down the line you feel like you're just giving the Indian batters some practice out in the middle,
and that would be the challenge. Let's not next delivery defensively played onto the onside. Let us not get to that point. That would be that's in their heads. But equally there may come a point later on, and look, that was just one ball which sat up. I'm not saying that one ball was an example of it already happening, but it could play out. That's the way it could play out later today. 30 for no wicket.
I mean, from the batting point of view, you wouldn't complain because you want to have a good preparation before the test matches, and both these players would love to get 100 here. And knowing Pujara, he would love to bat for the whole 90 overs, and he wouldn't be going out or walking out after his 100 like KL Rahul did. He loves batting too much. But yeah, I think at the same time it's just good to get some time in the middle. It's a lovely pitch to bat, apart from those odd balls which are staying low.
Agarwal on 17. Plays back to a full delivery from Lyndon James, now into his 4th over. If I didn't give Craig Miles analysis, he's 4 overs, 23 runs. He's gone forward now. But James has been ever so tight. Looks just 7 so far from his 3 overs.
And also the question is, would they make some chop and change during the day? Would Virat Kohli fancy a hit? But because there is playing 11 and they haven't changed anything at all.
It's not beyond that it might happen.
Yeah.
But they've held on tightly to this idea of it being a first-class game, haven't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
Next ball, bowled, and again full. He's bowling well, James, keeping it really tight.
Yeah, he's bowling really well. And also with Rishabh Pant being isolating for the last 10 days, he's back in Durham, he's trained in the morning with the boys. He might feel the urge of having a hit because he hasn't had any cricket in the last 25 odd days. But yeah, I mean, so far it's been very, very good cricket. So far it's been a proper first class game, and I hope it doesn't change today.
No.
The same intensity is maintained.
Yeah. Well, it does have implications as the next ball is bowled and pushed into the offside. There'll be no run. The sort of implications that some who are very much in favour of the 100 and what happened last night will say, well, does it really matter? But you've got Haseeb Hameed. He thinks he's got another first-class century, and he played it like it was a first-class century. Same for Rahul. I mean, that's a first-class century, and you've got first-class debuts.
But I don't think it came easy for Hameed. He has to work really, really hard. He had to dig deep because the bowling was brilliant. They kept the pressure on throughout the day. There was no let-offs that he got an easy 100 here, so that he deserves that first-class 100. Absolutely.
Next ball bowled and pushed into the offside. There'll be no run. I mean, I'm not into stirring it up or anything. However, it's not beyond conversations held with some of the counties saying, well, yeah, you can have some of our players, and yeah, they want to perform well, but they want it to mean something, and that could have been part of the conversation. That could have been the insistence of the first-class status, So anyway, we're trying just to look at all the possibilities that may happen today. Right now, India are 30 for no wicket. They lead by 121, and Lyndon James is bowling beautifully, keeping it really tight. 3.4 overs he's bowled so far, and playing back and pushed into the offside for no run. And a cloudy sky is very hazy around and about at the moment.
Yeah, the square leg fielder has gone back to the boundary. So there might be a surprise element. He might be thinking a quick bouncer at some point in time to surprise Mayank Agarwal and see if he goes for that big pull or hook. If he miscues it, there's an opportunity for the fielder to grab a catch. It's all happening.
Yep. Turns again. He has a long run up. He's coming from the far end. It's the Lumley end. He's fair-haired and in and bowls and full into the offside. And no run. I think it's Jake Libby dashing to his right-hand side. Did you notice that Dave had a long chat with lots of his mates? Jake Libby was one of them. Jake, of course, formerly of Nottinghamshire, now at Worcestershire. He was calling them all over, and they all came to say hello to their favourite commentator. And then Jake said he was enjoying it, didn't he? Jake Libby said he was having a nice time. Enjoyed the cricket he's been playing here. Although he would have loved a few more runs. I'm sure he didn't say that, but I'm sure he would have done. Of course he would have. 30 for no wicket here. 121. The end of another Lyndon James over, and a maiden over. 4 overs, 2 maidens, 7 runs he's conceded.
I think runs are never enough. If you ask Hameed, he would have said the same thing. I would have loved a few more runs. It's never enough.
No.
But yeah, I know what you mean. He would have absolutely fancied a few more runs, spend a bit more time out there in the middle. It's always a confidence booster if you're playing against a very good bowling attack, and if you can get some runs, it just sets you up nicely for the future matches, for the matches to come in the next couple of weeks. And these boys will be playing a lot of cricket over the summer.
Pujara on 8. Next ball bowled full, driven, and a lovely flourish drive like that from Pujara. That's going to be 4 runs. 34 for no wicket. And we've just seen a lovely drive from Pujara. He's moved on to 12. India now into their second innings of this 3-day game. We're expecting them certainly to want to bat out this final day. At 34 for no wicket, they lead in the match by 125 runs. It is a first-class game. Agarwal is on 17. Pujara, as I say, just moved on to 12. And Lyndon James is bowling beautifully. Has 4 overs for only 7 runs at the moment. But as I say, it could be a long day in the field for the county 11. India 34 for no wicket in front by 125. And that is a little update for 5 Live. Do you know how we up it, we had that little bit of extra excitement? I don't know why I do that, because it's exciting in itself. But just explaining a little there to the 5 Live listeners, who may now be dashing across to Sports Extra. On hearing it, it's a little bit like when word got around that Sachin was batting. Agarwal and Pujara are batting. Let's get on to Sports Extra to see how they're getting on, eh?
I think if Virat comes out in the middle, there will be a lot more viewers than what there are at the moment. Everyone will be turning
superstars.
The screen on.
Pujara on 12, played onto the onside, dashes through for a single. What I want to talk about, and you'll be taking a bit of a break in most, so maybe we'll hold back on this, but just to talk a little bit later on this morning and maybe into this afternoon about the change of almost like culture, almost in preparation, in making sure that everything is done just right, all the detail, and which doesn't just apply to India, but things have changed there perhaps as they will have done in many other teams around the world.
I think the attitude has changed dramatically around the world.
Miles bowling and down the leg side, doesn't take it cleanly, but does the keeper.
And talking about that, it's just we've seen that very, very evident in this game as well. When, for a start, everyone expected, yes, when the moment you say it is in a warm-up game, a touring side is trying to prepare themselves for the
practice match
or something. But I was a bit surprised with the attitude, with the intent, with the intensity of the whole game so far. And I think, yes, that's where you can see that the attitude has changed completely.
Yeah. Next ball bowled and pushed into the offside, no run. Of course, another of the issues is the fact that the tours are different now, in the sense that a touring side may arrive. Let's forget the championship or test championship in this, but they would arrive 3 or 4 weeks before a test match. They would get matches in England. They would get matches against county sides, and I suppose that's where the attitude of, well, if we don't sort it out this week, we'll sort it out next week, something that might be wrong, or give so and so a game, because there are so few games, so little practice. I suppose it's almost a given, isn't it? It's a necessity that you really have to concentrate in these matches. That's a shorter ball which is pulled by Agarwal down to fine leg and a single. He moves to 18 and the score to 36 for no wicket. And that is your time to take a break, my friend. Indeed it is, and Dave Bracegirdle will come alongside me. But we'll maybe explore that a little bit later, because I think that's an interesting thing to hear about how preparation has changed. And of course you've been on India A tours as well and all sorts, so you can get your view on that. The man who I think has been on a weekend away with his team down in Devon, which in itself has no doubt been a challenging tour, is Dave Bracegirdle, and he'll be joining us in a second or two's time. Agarwal on 18, Pujara 13, and 9 overs this innings so far gone, a lead of 127. And it's Lyndon James who's going to bowl, and he's going to bowl from the far end, and he comes in now past the umpire and defensively push back up to Lyndon James. Lovely to have you with us, Dave. Of course you've been on already this morning for 20 minutes or so. I know you've been following the game, but you no doubt with Nottinghamshire will have been involved with a few maybe touring games or practice matches, which there's always something to take from them, but this game has been probably better than I thought it would be.
It's been a great watch, I must admit, and a great listen to you and Abby and Mark over the first couple of days.
Lyndon James in his 5th over in bowls and pushed very nicely. Nice timing that from Agarwal for a 4. It's wide to the right hand side there through the cover area, boundary which we'll see India move up to 40 for no wicket and 22 on the board. But look, you're here. Let's hear from you about Lyndon James, because he's looking an impressive figure, Dave.
He is Oakham School pupil, former Oakham School pupil, same as Stuart Broad, of course, 22 years of age. Came into the side right at the end of the 2018 season. Mentioned to Abby earlier, he played against Essex on his first class debut, and at the time they had Murali Vijay, a really established and well-known Indian Test batsman. He dismissed him for a great scalp.
Agarwal defensively for no run, square on the offside.
And over the last couple of years, obviously last year was certainly a disjointed domestic season, but he's not featured much, but he has been skipper in the second 11 when they've been able to play over the last 2 seasons, and that even as a young man just shows how highly thought of he is, and clearly must have a good cricket brain to skipper a county second 11. And this year he's played every game.
Yeah, it's tall, lean, in bowls, and another delivery which has to be played well by Agarwal, because get that slightly wrong, you just could get through your defence, or maybe miss it with your bat right onto your pads, and then you're in trouble.
I think we're very much at the stage of wondering over the course of his career, is he going to be a better bowler or a better batsman or a genuine all-rounder? And it seems at the moment as if it might be the latter. He's still waiting for his maiden first-class 100. He's had 4 50s, top score of 79 not out.
Next ball bowled in. And I thought he was looking to try and work that away, use the wrists on the leg side, but ends up going a little bit straighter there, the batter. And in terms of the innings he plays, is he still more aggressive over cautious and defensive, or attacking, or can he already showing signs of being able to play to the match position? It's too early to say.
He plays with a great degree of calmness, and he's a very correct player. We haven't seen the reverse sweeps and whatever that we see with a lot of youngsters.
In bowls again, defensively played, and he's bowling so well today, so tight. That's 5 overs gone. He's only conceded 11 runs from his 5 overs, a couple of maidens.
Well, this is another string to his bow, because I've not seen him open the bowling before, and of course it's been brought on by the injury to Avesh Khan, who I think was sort of seconded to the counties 11 really, just to fulfil that role. And of course he got injured in the first innings, so they're not exactly blessed with too many new ball bowlers, are they? Ethan Bamber and Zach Chappell didn't make the starting 11, so there's a little bit of a vacancy there this morning, and Lyndon's done okay.
Yeah, Ethan Bamber has been here for a couple of days, but he's moved on now from Durham. gone back down south. Zach Chappell injured, and James Bracey was also supposed to be part of the county 11, but had a close contact with a positive COVID case, so wasn't able to join up with the rest of the squad.
Going to get a bowling change. Will Rhodes is going to come into the attack, the captain of the first class counties 11. Noticed his county Warwickshire are playing today, so I don't know if is he heading for the 100 or is he going back to county cricket. I'm not sure. 40 without loss. Can Rhodes conjure up a breakthrough here? The crouching Pujara is awaiting the first delivery from Rhodes, wide of the off peg, and Pujara punches it to extra cover, fielded by Patterson-White, and there's no run. 3 Nottinghamshire players, 3 Warwickshire players in this county 11, and those two sides do meet at Edgbaston on Sunday, so there is bound to be a little bit of rivalry, I guess, as they get closer to that fixture. They'll all have bonded really well this week, and it's certainly clear that the first class counties 11 have all got on very, very well indeed. As Rhodes bowls a delivery that's punched back to him by Pujara. It's one that got away, actually. Will Rhodes was born in Nottingham, but at a young age the family moved up, I think, to East Yorkshire, Hull area.
Yeah, the Hull area, yeah.
Played a little bit for Yorkshire, but opportunities were limited. But Warwickshire liked the look of his skills and took him down there 4 or 5 years ago, and now he's the county skipper at Edgbaston. He's in past umpire Pollard, and Pujara shoulders arms.
No, he's a gifted cricketer, as Will Rhodes, without any doubt. And you talk about responsibility of captaincy with Lyndon James in the second level. Of course, Will has been given the captaincy of Warwickshire's first team at a relatively young age, and still with ambitions, England ambitions. He perhaps hasn't performed as well as he would have liked with the bat. He's constantly said he feels good, just can't get the runs, but his bowling has been excellent.
He's in again. Pujara defends this one. There's no run. I was looking at, we do a little bit of homework, and we're kindly provided with 1 or 2 notes as well, but I was just looking at the top 6 for India on the scorecard here. Rohit Sharma, Mayank Agarwal, Cheteshwar Pujara, Hanuma Vihari, Rahul and Ravindra Jadeja. They've all got a highest score in first class cricket of over 300. That is absolutely staggering, that all 6 have, as this is pushed into the offside. And it got me to thinking, I don't think I've actually seen a 300 live. I've seen a 294 from James Taylor for Nottinghamshire against Sussex, but don't think I've seen a 300 live.
No, I don't think I have. So a couple of double hundreds, surprisingly, in April this year, which we weren't expecting. But
no, that's great testimony to this 6. And of course, plenty more have gone on to register first class 300s in the India squad as Pujara defends. End of the over. Decent enough over from Rhodes. Right on the mark, and he begins with a maiden. Remains 40 without loss. The India side led on first innings by 91.
There is a bit of a breeze blowing today. However, I'm not too sure if we're seeing too much sign of this haze lifting and moving away, but we expect it to do so perhaps a little bit later on. But it's not rushing about it this morning. The breeze will help with that or not, time will tell. But certainly the county 11 haven't managed to get too much assistance from the cloud cover. It's certainly been the case that the afternoon session has been the session when batting seems not, well, yeah, at times seems to become a little bit easier. Certainly that's when the partnerships have been formed. County 11 losing a few wickets yesterday within their innings of Libby for 12, Yates for 1, Sundar for 1 because he's part of the county 11, and Will Rhodes himself made 11. And we're going to see Jack Carson introduced to the attack for the first time in this innings. His figures from the first innings were 18 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 71. And the wicket he took was that of Pujara. He had him stumped. Beautiful delivery it was, and a good stumping as well from the teenager Roo. Pujara made 21 in that first innings, and he's going to be bowling to Agarwal to start off with. But yesterday the Carson story was bowling to Virat Kohli. If you missed that, it happened during lunch, during the interval yesterday, when Virat Kohli went out for a net. They set up a net for him, one end of the square there, and Carson from the Counties 11 was called in. We're not too sure how that came about, but anyway, next delivery played, started the over square on the offside, but was there bowling along with several Indian bowlers. And afterwards it was Ravi Shastri who was having a word with him, part of the India management, and having a good long chat, and John Lewis was there as well. And good delivery again, which is just kept down in front of short square leg, forward short leg should I say. We lost. Can you see Haseeb Hameed? He's normally in that position there. Where's he gone?
He's out on the deep mid-wicket boundary.
Oh, he is, yeah. I suppose he doesn't necessarily want to get an injury at the moment, does he? Oh, and that was being hammered down, but straight to the fielder. A short fine leg. Really tried to help it on its way there, did Agarwal, but straight to the fielder. Sharp piece of fielding. And again, still sitting on 40 for no wicket, India. Next ball, a quicker delivery. This time he gets it square and past the man at short fine leg, and therefore that is going to be four. That's what he's trying to do, trying to find that gap. And he's done so. With a 4, he moves to 26, takes India to 44 for no wicket. This lead of 135.
I think that's Rob Yates, isn't it, who's in that position just behind square on the leg side, and as we were saying, Haseeb Hameed out there on the fence, well out of harm's way. Certainly wouldn't want to get injured before he enters the test bubble, though he did tell me this morning he is hoping to play at Edgbaston on Sunday.
Next delivery, is that right? Pushed defensively into the offside, no, right? So they don't meet up at Loughborough until Wednesday.
No. So he is telling me he is available for Nottinghamshire against Warwickshire. Whether that changes or not over the next day or two, we'll find out.
And next ball bowled defensively, played back up to the bowler Carson. And I do need to point out at the end of that over, 44 for no wicket, Agarwal on 26, Pujara on 13, and Rhodes there with 1 over bowled, 1 maiden, and 4 runs coming from Carson's first over. Yes, the thing I need to point out is the first thing you said to him was congratulations on your England call, quickly followed by, but are you still available for Sunday? You did have the decency to talk about England first.
Yes, he's had a splendid resurgence, and I'd like to see him get a go. I really would. Obviously, everybody called up into the 17 dearly hopes that their name is...
Dave, a question though, did it happen instantly for him? Just tell us about that Nottinghamshire, his arrival there perhaps, if you would.
Here's Will Rhodes starting new over, bowling to Pujara, who leaves this alone. There were signs last year. He didn't get 100 last year. I think he had an 80 odd and a couple of other 50s. But he was effervescent about the place. He was a live wire in the field. He took some brilliant catches. He was bubbly. I've talked to 1 or 2 of the other guys, and they said he brings an awful lot to the side, even when he's not batting, to the fielding effort, as the next ball is sent down to Pujara, who defends, and then flipping that back, speaking to people who'd seen him and watched him, and if you like, watched the little bit of a decline over the last couple of years at Lancashire, where he couldn't find a little bit of form, and it just seemed as if that fizz, that bubbliness about him had disappeared. So that had come back. Of course, he'd worked with Peter Moores in the past, so again, it was a coach who knew him and perhaps knew what made him tick when he brought him to Trent Bridge. Obviously, Peter Moores knew all about him and thought he could make it work. Nice looking shot here by Pujara through the leg side. They'll get a couple of runs to move on to 46 without loss. Pujara on to 15. But during the winter, funnily enough, it's something that's not going to happen now. Not appointed Haseeb as vice captain to Stephen Mullane and appointed him captain for the Royal London One Day Cup. And at that stage, because they knew Stephen Mullane had been picked up by the 100, so wouldn't be available for that competition. And at that stage, I think it was a real show of faith, a show that they felt he was a senior man, somebody had a good cricket head on him, somebody who was respected by all the others. But in doing that, I think they also didn't believe he would be around for England's selection. Next one's cut away nicely for runs, and Hameed trots after it. That's the India 50 coming up in the 13th over, and another fine shot in this over from Pujara. 50 on the board, just shy of an hour's cricket today.
So do you think it's fair to say that from a Nottinghamshire point of view, they don't want to hold him back at all, but still in their minds they don't think it would be the end of the world if he was given another couple of months really before?
Well, that's it. When this season started, you sort of felt or could see he'd only scored one first-class 100 in 4 years. Now, that's not the sort of form that's going to get you a call-up in an England Test opener, but then he had that magical, marvellous match at New Road. It wasn't a great wicket for the bowlers, but it was a great one for the batsmen, as the next one is pushed to extra cover, and there's no run. 50 without loss, it remains. He scored 100 in each innings, but showed the temperament and the powers of concentration he'd got, because he batted for almost 14 hours across the 4 days, 100 in each innings, and records said that nobody had faced as many balls in a first-class match as he had. So that showed that he'd got it back. He was able to get into the zone and bat long. 50 without loss. Next ball is pushed into the offside. Next game against Derbyshire, typically after the Lord Mayor's show, 100. First innings he got a second ball duck, but then he found it again in the second innings, 94. And since then he's just churned out a series of 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s, and he's looked the part. He really has looked the part. But just go back to one word in there, the effervescence that he brings to the side. He's been bubbly, he's been animated, he's a real asset in the field, and that can only come, I think, Kevin, if you're enjoying your cricket.
Yeah, and certainly on evidence, the story you've just told there and the evidence of what we've seen here just yesterday would suggest that Nottinghamshire may not see as much of him as they would have liked necessarily, because I think once he's back in there, I think he's going to make a really good fist.
Well, I hope he gets a chance, because we've seen a number of players. Jake Ball has been called up in every squad this year and not got a game.
Carson bowls and pushed into the offside, no run.
I know there are other examples up and down the country, but from the Nottinghamshire perspective, I can only speak about Jake Ball. He's away for the 3 ODIs, didn't get a game. The 3 T20 internationals didn't get a game, and Hameed needs to be playing cricket.
Yeah. Carson bowls, whipped away square on the offside. Libby will go chasing that one. They'll go through for 2. Agarwal moves at 28 in this India score, having passed the 50 mark. He's on to 52 for no wicket, a lead of 143 runs.
I don't want to make this a Nottinghamshire thing, Kevin, so I won't, but I've just had a message from Liam Patterson-White's dad, Dan. Can I point out that Nottinghamshire scored 78% of the county's runs yesterday?
Very proud, very proud. Next delivery, playing back and turned onto the onside, and no run. Well, correct, very correct. And the thing about the England Test here, we don't know what's going on. I just wonder if perhaps they also want to get Haseeb in feeling good about being back in an England dressing room again, even if he plays or doesn't play. That works onto the onside, and I know that's probably what you're fearing, because you say that he needs to be playing cricket, and obviously if he's not going to be playing for Nottinghamshire, you don't mind if he's playing for England, but you don't want him bringing out the drinks. That's an obviously understandable point of view. Carson bowls and defensively pushed into the offside.
It's good.
The flip side of that, though, is that they want players, because so much about the Ashes, they want players to feel part of it before they fly off to Australia, and feel they're part of the setup. So we wait and see what goes on in terms of whether he makes the starting 11 or not. Of course, that squad has only been named for the first 2 tests so far. Carson bowls a little quicker, helped on its way. Hameed will look at that, but all he will do is look at it and see it fly over the boundary rope, quite a few yards in front of him out there, in front of the very impressive pavilion, away to our left-hand side, and that is 4 to finish off that Carson over. So whatever Ravi Shastri was saying to him yesterday, it hasn't worked yet, but give it time, give it time. 2 overs, 10 runs, and it's 56 for no wicket, a lead of 147. Agarwal on 32, Pujara on 19. Abhishek will come in and replace me with you, Dave.
Thanks very much, Kevin. The players and the umpires getting together, but the players are just having a little hand sanitising break. Also, they're taking on board some fluid. The respective 12th and 13th men, the squad members, are out there with some bottles of water for all the players. Warm and sticky morning. We've not yet had the sun breaking through the cloud, but a decent morning's batting from India. 55 runs on the board. We've had 14 overs. Agarwal 32 from 54 balls, and Cheteshwar Pujara has seen a lot less of the strike, 19 from 30 balls. But as Abhishek comes back alongside me, I don't think there's been anything even resembling a chance or a moment of slight concern for either batsman yet.
Yeah, I think they both look pretty comfortable out there in the middle. There have been a few loose balls as well, as we could imagine. Being the third day, the first 2 days, the intensity was quite great. They both played very good cricket, both teams, India and the county 11. But today that intensity dropping ever so slightly, knowing that there won't be any result in the game. India gonna bat for most of the time today. We'll have to wait and see how long does this carry on. If they bat the whole 90 overs or they decide to finish the game a little early, we'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, yes, both these players are finding things pretty easy and going pretty well. Mayank Agarwal 32 of 54, Cheteshwar Pujara doing what he does all the time, looking very solid on 19 of 30 odd deliveries, 56 of 14. So there's some hard work for the bowlers now, and we've already seen Carson bowling his first over.
It's going to be Will Rhodes when we resume in a moment or two. There's been 8 boundaries this morning from the bat, 5 to Agarwal, 3 to Pujara. There was also the ball that was dug in by Craig Miles that flew up high over the wicketkeeper, went away for 5 wides, it was called in the end. Just about ready. Pujara will be on strike. Played quite a bit of county championship cricket, and of course he's been over to these shores many times with India over the years. Pujara, 33 years of age now, 86 test matches. First ball to him is just pulled away down to long leg. There'll be a single there, 57 without loss. Played for Derbyshire, Yorkshire and Nottinghamshire, but I can only find him playing here once before. That was a one-day match for Yorkshire back in 2018 when he scored 82.
Yeah, he loves churning runs wherever he plays. I don't think he had the greatest of county year, but he still managed to get a few runs in that year in the county championship. In the previous delivery, pulling that ball to fine leg. He's not a great puller or hooker of a cricket ball, but sometimes he does.
57 without loss. The next ball to Agarwal is just defended. Will Rhodes doing the bowling just while he popped out the room. We were just talking to Kevin there about the India top 6 on the scorecard in this game. All of them, you look, first class cricket, highest score. Each and every one of them have registered at least one triple century. That's phenomenal. And you know, Kevin and I were saying, I don't think either of us actually seen live a first class triple hundred. I think 294 is the best I've seen.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And Jadeja got 2 in a row, if I'm not wrong, for playing for Saurashtra. Luckily, we were not playing each other on that, but he got it in the same year when we were playing. We played a couple of games later on. We played Jadeja and Pujara both, and they both scored triple hundred that year. So yeah, they're used to getting big runs, all these players. Rohit Sharma, we know that he loves playing those long innings. He's got 3 double hundreds in one-day cricket, leave alone 3-day or 4-day matches.
Absolutely phenomenal. Extraordinary. 57 without loss. Here's Will Rhodes, the captain of Warwickshire and the first class counties 11, bowling, shortish delivery, pulled out onto the leg side. think the fielder in the deep there. Apologies if it's not, but it's the young man from Lancashire that was called up into the first class counties squad. Tom Aspinwall, I think that's him doing the work on the leg side fence on the Lumley side of the ground. 58 without loss. You must score at a quicker tempo if you're going to register a 300 in first class cricket, though. You must really rattle along to get it all in. Next ball wide of the off stump this time and cut away for 4. Will Rhodes just spraying it around a little bit in this over. A couple of deliveries have been far too short, and that one was short and wide outside the off stump, pulled away earlier in the over, and this one cut away for 4.
It feels like I've watched that shot 4 or 5 times already, 3 or 4 times already from Cheteshwar Pujara. Exactly the same shot and bringing him exactly the same result. It's been 4 every time. And he loves cutting the ball outside the off stump. As I mentioned earlier, he might not be a great hooker or puller of the game, of the cricket ball, but he loves to cut and punch it on the back foot.
Still looking for his first wicket in the game, Rhodes. This one goes through to the keeper. None for 25 in the first innings, and this time around he's bowled 3 overs, none for 12 here. First class counties 11 versus India. BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra on the BBC Sounds app, and here through the Durham County Cricket Club live stream. However you're getting us, watching the live stream or listening to us, a very warm welcome to the northeast of England. We're just past midday here, entering the afternoon, the final afternoon of this 3-day match. India in a healthy position, but really this is just preparation for the forthcoming Test series, and they've got a couple of set batsmen here who'll be really looking to go on and bat deep into the day if they can.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day for the county championship bowlers.
Carson bowls. This one's just helped into the offside by Agarwal. Don't think he's seen the strike for a while, has he? But he's got a couple of runs there to take the score on to 64. Jack Carson bowling. He's a player who's born in Northern Ireland, and it's racking my brains. I don't think there's too many currently in the county game on the circuit born in Northern Ireland. So all kudos to him for making his way in the game. Sussex player bowls, and this is hit down the ground firmly by Agarwal. Will just get a single.
Yeah, they're looking to score runs quickly here, especially Mayank Agarwal. As I mentioned earlier, he loves to play his strokes. He's not somebody who's just going to be there and just block a lot of deliveries. If he's out there, he's going to be scoring runs. A bit unlike Pujara, who's very happy to take his time and block lots of deliveries. He's only playing shots when the ball is in his half, and he's comfortable that he can score runs of those balls. But since morning we have seen quite a few, some poor deliveries been bowled to both these players. The intensity is not exactly the same the way it was on the first day when they started this game. They need to lift themselves a little bit. The more the shoulders drop, the longer the day would seem for themselves.
Pujara on strike on 24, and he'll help himself to at least one here, maybe a couple. Jake Libby now of Worcestershire chases after it, couple of runs. It's actually skippered Worcestershire once this season when Joe Leach was rested for a game, the normal club skipper. 67 without loss. Here comes Carson again from the Lumley end, and at the moment the batsmen are pretty much having it all their own way. They're almost playing the bowling with impunity, aren't they?
Oh, they are. And there's been a couple of short deliveries in this over as well from Carson. Just from his point of view, he should look to bowl good line, good length.
He has done that. Not too much response from the surface this morning, and that was nicely played. Didn't see it, but I heard Kevin talking about one delivery that Patterson-White bowled in the first inning. In fact, it was yesterday morning, wasn't it? Right at the very back end of the Indian innings as Carson bowls, and this one's blocked by Pujara. So Patterson-White bowled one yesterday morning at the last pair for India that exploded a little bit out the surface. But other than that, I don't think it's really misbehaved at all, has it?
It's been a very good pitch. And again, Pujara doing exactly what he was doing in the first innings when we had a long chat about him stepping out and looking to block a ball, which I still don't think anybody's convinced. If you want to block a ball, the best place to do it is from the crease. Why take a chance? Why give the bowler an opportunity to get your wicket if you're not looking to score runs, if you're just looking to block it? But I think that's the way he's played, that's the way he's modelled his game against spin, and sometimes he has to pay a price for that. But at the moment, so far so good. He's managed to play him well. Carson, he's only bowled a few overs here, but he's still got to be a bit careful here, Pujara, if he's stepping out.
Will Rhodes about to begin his 4th over, bowling to Pujara, who defends this one. Craig Miles had 5 overs, so did Lyndon James. Rhodes into his 4th over. Carson has had 3. Would perhaps expect Liam Patterson-White to be brought into the attack, maybe after Rhodes has perhaps had another one. Seems to be sort of 5 overs and off you go.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of spin. It looks like it's going to be a lot of Patterson-White and a lot of Carson in today's match. At the moment, Mayank Agarwal again looking solid behind the ball.
Played really nicely this morning. Agarwal, that might just have kept a whisker low. And it's nicely played in the end by Agarwal, but he had to react quite quickly there. Didn't get up at all. So we were just talking about the surface, which has been excellent, but for whatever reason, that one almost shot under the bat.
Yeah, that's the only ball we've been mentioning since morning. That's that one delivery which stays low. You've got to be careful. And Agarwal at the moment watching the ball very, very carefully. That's why he managed to get his bat down on time.
Umpire is Paul Pollard at this end, former left-hand opening bat. Next one all dropped as far as Liam Patterson-White on the leg side, who, although a Nottinghamshire lad, essentially was born only about 10 miles away from here in Sunderland, and from a young age moved down to Nottinghamshire, came through the club's academy system, the various age groups. Will Rhodes once more in, bowls nicely played off his pads by Agarwal. Only be a single there. Pujara certainly wasn't interested in getting a second run. And India making their way gradually through the 60s here. 68 without loss now. They had a first innings lead of 91, but by and large that's going to be irrelevant.
Yeah, still looking to run hard, still trying to keep the intensity going, both these players, Pujara and Mayank Agarwal. But when it comes to bowling, it's drifted a little bit here, Rhodes.
68 without loss. Next ball just got a little big there off the shoulder of the bat, steered down into the gully region, not taken cleanly. I think that's Craig Miles, but they are unable to get a single. 68 runs on the board. Behind closed doors, remember, we do have a smattering of people that we can see in our eye line. Some of the wives and families of the Indian side watching on from very high up in the Don Robson Pavilion. One or two of the ground staff watching away to our right, and there's an ambulance crew on standby just in case. Next one is punched back on the bounce to the bowler. Will Rhodes through his 4th over. He's not getting an awful lot of assistance here. Rhodes 4 overs, none for 13 here on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra and through the Durham live stream.
Yeah, I think we'll see spin from both ends very soon here. I think Patterson-White will come on from the other end. At the moment is Carson. He's bowled a few overs, still hasn't really managed to get his line and length right, hasn't really settled into his spell yet. But from his point of view, what he should be looking at to try and bowl as well as he can and try and pick up a few wickets. If not, just bowl that nice area. Try and cause some sort of trouble, try and bowl a bit slower, get a bit more spin onto the ball.
Here he comes bowling to Agarwal, who does leave his crease and then block it, just what Abby said a batsman shouldn't really do. Came into this match on 49 first class wickets, so what a big moment that was when he got Pujara stumped in the first innings. It was obviously his 50th first class wicket, but really is a big name to have on the CV to bring up that milestone. He's in again to Agarwal, who blocks it again.
There's bowled a couple of very good deliveries in this over. Right length, right line, a bit of air as well. Nice dip at the end, and that's what you want to do as a spinner. You want to try and get that dip.
Next ball worked away onto the leg side. Agarwal will get a single here. Craig Miles lets it run. He almost escorted it all the way out towards the boundary where Haseeb and Hameed was doing the fielding. 69 without loss. Carson is what do they call them, a millennial child, is that it? He was born in 2000. Crikey, got clothes older than that. 69 without loss. Here he comes. Sussex off spinner, bowls one that just perhaps bounced a little bit, got a little bit of turn onto the shoulder of the bat, but Pujara absolutely rock solid. As he played that, you couldn't see any of the stumps at all.
He was hitting the pad outside the line of off stump. That's what he does. He gets his pads outside the line.
Next ball whipped away. Nice wristy shot from Pujara. Will just get a single. Hameed losing his cap there and showing everybody his long locks. It's one thing that's as well as his batting over the couple of years he's been with Nottinghamshire. It's one other thing that has improved the length of his hair. It's quite considerable at the moment. Played down onto the leg side here, fielded it short leg. That's the end of the over. 70 without loss. Now will Rhodes have a fifth over? Yeah, it doesn't appear as if Patterson-White's going to come on yet. It's going to be another one from the skipper. 70 without loss.
Probably the last one. Yeah, I don't see him bowling more than 5 overs. Though the weather is quite nice, it's not hot like the way it has been in the past couple of days. It's quite nice and a little wind there as well. Overcast conditions. Sun's not beaming down on the players, so it's a good condition if you're a bowler to bowl. And it's a lovely batting condition as well because the batsmen are enjoying it at the moment. Both these players, Mayank, Agarwal and Pujara. Good partnership of 70 of 18 overs. Going at a decent rate.
Rhodes to Pujara. Bowls dropped on the leg side. And it's short mid-wicket there is Liam Patterson-White. Does the fielding. There's no run. This is the home ground of Durham. English county cricket's newest county. They joined the county championship circuit in 1992, but this ground didn't host its first game until May 1995. 6 test matches have taken place here. Next ball again dropped on the leg side, fielded by Patterson-White. India haven't played a test here, but they've played 2 ODIs, and in both of them India battered, and then the rains came before England could begin their innings. Sachin Tendulkar scored a century here in 2002, and Parthiv Patel made 95 in 2011. But as I say, on both occasions the rains came before they could go any further in the game.
Not a happy hunting ground for India then.
70 without loss. Wonder if Sachin remembers that innings. Next one's pushed into the offside, fielded by Hameed. And there's no run. Good to see Ravi Shastri walking around the ground a little earlier. One of the real greats of Indian cricket. I remember seeing him play many years. I think the first time I actually saw India would be the 71 tour. Crikey, 50 years ago. India came to Trent Bridge. Next ball is dropped on the leg side, and as a young autograph hunter I was keen to get the 4 spinners that were obviously world renowned, Prasanna, Chandrasekhar, Venkat and Bisham Bedi, and Ajit Wadekar, the skipper, and of course Gavaskar. And I remember seeing Gavaskar and he actually got out very, very cheaply. And as he came back into the pavilion at Trent Bridge through the gates, walking up the steps, he was absolutely furious, whether he got a poor decision or whether he was just disappointed to get out. Next ball clipped up to mid-on, there's no run. Slammed his bat down on the steps as he was walking past the members, and a chunk of bat flew off. So that's always a lesson for young kids. Look after your cricket equipment. I suppose Gavaskar didn't really have to mind. I'm sure he would have had a bag full of cricket bats, but a chunk of his bat flew off.
Yeah, we were discussing this yesterday as well, that when you're international cricketer or you're playing first class cricket, you can afford to do that. It's not that you should do it, but you can afford to do it because you get a lot of equipment from your sponsors. But if you're a club cricketer, when you have only one bat, if you do that, it's going to be an expensive one for you.
Next ball short, punched away for 4. One of the shots of the morning from Cheteshwar Pujara. Really lovely stroke. Hammered away through the offside. And Pujara on to 31. He's catching Agarwal up, actually. Only 7 behind his opening partner now. 38 to Agarwal. 74 runs on the board. And Will Rhodes has bowled his 5 overs, none for 17. Starting to look towards Liam Patterson-White to see if he'll be into the attack anytime soon. Going to be Carson from the Lumley end. 74 they've put on. It'll be interesting to see how India go about it. I'm sure they'll certainly let them bat until lunch, and then obviously they'll make sure or see how they're feeling if either Agarwal or Pujara want to go on any longer. This time it's defended, or they might want to send Vihari out to have a bat this afternoon.
It doesn't look like that Rohit Sharma or Rahul is going to come out to bat. It might be Vihari, it might be others who haven't scored runs. Maybe Jadeja might still have another hit. We'll have to wait and see.
This one's hit down the ground. They won't get a run. Jadeja had a long bat, didn't he, in the first innings?
He did, absolutely, but he might want another one. You never know. We'll have to wait and see who comes in next. It'll be interesting.
Patterson-White is now getting ready at first slip. Anticipate he'll bowl the next over in tandem with Jack Carson, who bowls now and again. Agarwal leaves his crease just to block it. Lyndon James doing the fielding, and there's no run.
You can sense that Agarwal is itching to hit a few big boundaries here, big shots, couple of sixes maybe. He's eyeing the long on and long off area. The mid off is up, long on is mid on is just pushed back a little bit, 10 steps back.
It's Carson bowling, and a nice little battle between this pair. Agarwal giving the youngster a certain amount of respect, but at the same time he's looking to take him down, isn't he? He's looking for the opportunity there where he can either drive him through the covers or hit him in the V.
You can sense that that's coming. A big shot is coming from somewhere. There's a vacant deep mid-wicket region as well.
Agarwal on 38 blocks this one, and it's a no ball, so shouldn't really happen for the spinner, only coming off 2 or 3 paces, but Hassan Adnan, our umpire, obviously saw him overstep and calls a no ball. 75 now, the opening partnership.
He's okay to do it here. I'm not saying he should, but he shouldn't be doing it in a shorter format nowadays.
Next ball worked away on the leg side, just behind square by Agarwal. Will take a single. 76 without loss. It's a very still morning, isn't it? We can see 1 or 2 flags, but barely moving at all. 76 on the board. Final ball of the over being sent down now by Carson to Pujara. Works this to leg, well stopped by Craig Miles, almost lost his footing as he did so. That's the end of the over. Umpires clapping, I think, to bring on the 12th men with the hand sanitising. 76 without loss.
I think they're going to have a quick break, maybe drinks. Yeah, the batsmen going to have a drink, sanitise their hands, making sure they take all the precautions necessary.
Certainly the cricket I watched on the live stream, very competitive first 2 days, and it was being played like it was a match, a competitive match, one side trying to beat the other side throughout. This morning there is that feel that we have mentioned, that this could potentially be a tough all day for the County 11, and they really are going to have to work hard for their wickets. More from Abhishek, and then it'll be Kevin Howells.
Yeah, it looks like that is going to be a long day for the county championship, County 11, depending how long the game goes. But at the moment, yeah, they have to really dig deep. They have to work hard. 76 for no loss India. Both Pujara and Agarwal doesn't look like they're going to get out soon. As we mentioned earlier, it might be spin from both ends, and it is spin from both ends. We've got Carson bowling from one end. And now the left arm spinner comes from the other end.
Indeed so. Good afternoon to you. Well, we've just gone 25 past 12. It's got a different feel to it all here at the moment. However, with Liam Patterson-White about to bowl and take a hat-trick, it's all going to be thrown wide open again. You never know.
Absolutely.
And he's coming in to bowl his spin. I think he bowled all his overs from the other end, but anyways, in and bowls from the Finkel end and pushed into the offside is Agarwal for his 39. Yeah, well, you know, if this cloud can't be bothered to lift either and burn away and the sun come out, well, you know, that's, what can you expect? We want a beautiful sunny day for a bit of cricket, but we'll see how it all plays out in the next hour or two. When it's played into the offside end, there'll be no run. But we can't complain about the first 2 days. We've had a terrific time, and I would just like to explore a little bit more about India and the way they've, not so much maybe today, but yeah, throw in today as well. Next, Patterson-White bowls. Oh, and that's been whipped away, a shorter ball which has been swung away through mid-wicket. 4 runs signalled by the umpire, and the score moves on to 80. Has the board already ticked over? Has it moved to 80, or is it going to be on to 84 now? Lost track there, but anyway, it's a 4. At the moment the board reads 80 for no wicket, with Agarwal on to 43.
It's the right 80, yeah.
It's still 80, yeah.
Yeah, it's 80 for no loss. That's a lovely shot though.
Yeah.
Bounced quickly back onto the back foot and just pulled it through mid wicket for an easy boundary. Just drifting with his length a little bit here.
I love also just, you know, members of the Indian squad, players, coaches, backroom staff, all on a bit of a wander around the boundary rope as well. Having a bit of a tour, and Agarwal on 43 defensively, pushed into the offside. I've been on tours where you've seen team managers who are often former players of a previous vintage, and maybe carrying a little bit more timber than they used to when they were players. In some cases only a little bit more timber, but you know what I mean. And again, that was played defensively, just being behind square on the offside for no run. But every morning those team managers would set off and they'd do 10 laps of the ground. It didn't seem to physically make any difference, or visibly make any difference, but I'm sure it did. Well, that was sit up a little and played very neatly by Agarwal as well, down towards the third man boundary. I think it's going to get to the rope ahead of the fielder. It is indeed. So it's another 4 to the board here, and score moves on to 47 for Agarwal. Pujara on 31, and India at 84 for no wicket. They lead by 175. So as the day goes on, we'll continue to bring you some more live cricket. I think that for those obviously watching the stream, we will continue with this one throughout the day, and we will on 5 Live Sports Extra as well. But during the interval, the luncheon interval, for those listening on the BBC's 5 Live Sports Extra channel and BBC Sound, at lunchtime we'll pick up a game from the Royal London One Day Cup, which starts today, and we'll take 30 minutes of that just to get a flavour of what's going on in that competition. We'll be off to Hampshire versus Essex. So Alistair Cook turning out for Essex in the Royal London One Day Cup. There's a man who doesn't know when to give up the game of cricket. He's still lapping it up, and that one's played past the man at forward short leg, and actually runs very fine. It's Haseeb Hameed who gets down with a right hand to it, and a couple of runs to the total on to 86 for no wicket. So that competition up and running. Been some stunning figures announced by the BBC of the number of people watching the 100 match last night. I think it's 1.6 million was the peak viewing, which is the highest ever watching a game of women's cricket on the BBC. And one is turned again to the right hand side of the man at forward short leg, and that competition will continue this evening with the men's competition. Of course, the women's the standalone game last night and the men's standalone match tonight, and then it's going to be more double headers as that competition gets going. But some amazing opening night figures on the TV last night for that, and the Royal London Wonder Cup getting underway today. And use of the wrist from Agarwal, but doesn't work it that square. It's up towards mid-off, and no run with Carson bowling his 6th over. He's gone for 22 runs. There's Carson from the far end, and he'll bowl again. Be nice to see them make a breakthrough. This is in the air. In fact, he could make a breakthrough because he hasn't got hold of that properly, and the catch is taken. The catch is taken there at mid-on. That is the end of Agarwal, who won't get a first-class 50 to his name. He's out for 47, and I tell you, he won't lose sleep over that tonight. Well, he might do, actually, knowing some batters. They're as crazy as that. But anyway, he's been caught by his Indian teammate Sundar, who took a high catch, trying to work it away, but he skied it. So Carson has got another wicket. Agarwal is gone for 47.
And we discussed this last over, that he looks like he wants to take Carson on. He wants to go aerial over that long on or mid-wicket area. And that's exactly what he tried to do. I think at the point of contact, he just bent down a bit too much. The body weight was pushing back rather than coming forward, and that's why he couldn't get the bat right sort of a timing in that delivery, and the ball just scooped up straight to Sundar. Easy catch for him. But India loses their first wicket, 87 for 1. And Mayank Agarwal, as you said, missed first class 50, and in comes Vihari. So no Rohit Sharma.
So what's going on there? Come on, I don't want you to guess. I want the definitive answer. What's going on there?
I feel like that Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul, Jadeja, none of them are going to come to bat. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Shardul Thakur coming in at number 4. So
and this is because
I just feel that it's not going to be a 90 over match.
But from their personal
point of view, they've already. I think Rohit doesn't fancy a bat for whatever reason. He thinks he as a player he might feel he's in very good nick. Yeah, he might not have got runs in the first innings.
Well, he got 9 is what he got in the first innings.
But he might still be feeling confident and comfortable where he is with his batting, and then try and give the others a little go. And Rahul, after scoring the 100, I don't think he feels a need of coming out in the middle and having another go.
Do you know what I think? I think that England should pick Lyndon James, because Rohit doesn't fancy it. It's Lyndon James, and before anybody gets, look, that's a joke, okay, everybody? Don't get on to me. It's a joke. And Carson bowls here now to Vihari, and that's run fine. And here we'll get. He's playing with a cap. If Mark Church was still here, he'd be loving this. Vihari gets 2. He's gone out there with a cap on, and the score moves to 89 for 1, a lead of 180 in the game. And yeah, we'll see how it all plays out here. But what I would like, I'm always looking for those stories within a story, the games within a game. Carson picks up 2 or 3 wickets here. These are still world-class batters he's bowling against. Let's see what he can do. Let's see. Fires that one in a little quicker and pushed onto the onside. There'll be no run. I'm always looking for the story. That's the trouble. I'm always looking for the stories.
We all are. I think he's bowling really, really well in the last couple of overs. He's managed to find his line and length right, and some nice subtle variations as well. And wickets are always good. It's a first-class game at the end of the day. Any wicket is your first-class wicket, and you're getting some of the good names into your first-class wicket list. Mayank Agarwal, he's played quite a few test matches, scored runs for India, so any test wicket is a good wicket. And then you've got the likes of Pujara. He's got Pujara in the first innings as well, so he's got a couple of test wickets in his list now.
Pujara's on 34, facing this next delivery. Turned fine, and it'll be one for the slip to actually go and run and chase. Will he get to it before the boundary? I think he will. He's going to pull up just short, so it's going to be 3 runs, and the score will move on to 92 for 1. Well, what I think we're talking about here is a reduction in intensity from what we've seen over the first 2 days, but not when it comes to bowler versus batter. Bowler still wants to get batter out, batter still wants to score runs. That remains the same. It's maybe some of the periphery.
Yeah, absolutely. That is still the same. The bowler is still trying to bowl their best ball. The batsman is still trying to score runs and play their best shots. So the competition is still going out there. It's just, the periphery, as you mentioned.
Next ball, quicker ball, and playing back, and Vihari pushed into the offside, no run. So Agarwal caught Sundar, bowled Carson for 47 off 81 deliveries. Pujara's faced 50 balls for his 34 so far. And it's Vihari, who's only faced a few deliveries for his 2. Defensively pushed square and no run. But we were talking about how you've got to be showing your captain these days, and maybe who else, the selectors who else is looking on as Patterson-White bowls and again defensively played behind square on the offside. You've got to show them that your mind is right. You can't just go out there and say this is a warm-up match, this doesn't matter. You've got to be right on it. And some of the more experienced players who are part of the touring party, and here I'm thinking of bowlers, you've got to be very careful about how you warm them up, get them ready, as this one is driven to mid-off and no run, because of course you don't want them tiring themselves out. We're only 2 weeks out, let's not forget. So there's been the break, but we're only 2 weeks out now from the start of the Test series. And again, 4 defensive from Vihari into the offside. So at the end of that over, 92 for 1, a lead of 183.
Yeah, and probably that's the reason we didn't see the likes of Virat Kohli. Obviously didn't play because of a niggle in his back, his stiff back. But the likes of Mohammad Shami, Ishant Sharma, I'm sure the Indian team felt like they need to give them a longer break. Yes, they had a long break, but they must have felt that they're bowling well, they're putting the ball in the right area. And what you don't want to do in these matches is pick up an injury to one of your main bowlers who are certain to be in the playing 11. So you've got to manage the players right in today's day and age, and they're playing so much cricket. And all these players, you need to understand, from here they're not going home. From after finishing this tour, they straight go to the IPL. From IPL they're playing the World Cup, and after that New Zealand is coming to India for 3 tests. Playing
back and square on the onside and a single. So it's when's the New Zealand series?
So I think straight after they come back from the finish the World Cup, New Zealand is coming to India for three test matches, and maybe some 1 days.
Pre-Christmas.
Yeah, pre-Christmas. So there's cricket non-stop. These guys are not going to be getting any sort of breaks. They will be in the bio bubble. So it's not easy for them to be there for such a long period.
Next ball, and again forward to that, and no run. And there are always people that, and I understand it. There are always people that talk about, they should come and do what I have to do for a living, or they should come and experience what I have to experience for a living. You've got it made as a professional international cricketer, and well paid these days, very well paid. Worked way onto the onside, but you do have to be mindful of that. And it's great. We got the families I know up there on the top tier now over on the pavilion, but it's not really a holiday. I mean, it may have been for the last fortnight, a little bit maybe for the last fortnight, even with the COVID restrictions. This one is played again square by Vihari for 3. It's an alien environment, really. The hotel, cricket ground hotel. And again, look, I know there are people that have got it really tough out there. That's not really tough. But it's not as straightforward and as relaxed as you might think it is.
No, it's not. And also, you really got to feel for the family as well, because it's not easy for the partners and the wives and the girlfriends, because they still got to be in the bio bubble. And again, stepping out and playing that ball from Carson towards mid-wicket, Cheteshwar Pujara, he loves stepping out, doesn't he? He just doesn't like staying in his crease when he's playing against spin.
No. And Carson's got 1 more ball left of this over. Fired in quickly, and that's worked way onto the onside. There'll be no run. 94 for 1. Vihari on 3, Pujara on 38, and a lead of 185. Now, we saw Carson yesterday. We mentioned this. He was in the nets bowling to Virat Kohli. But what I think you're observing, when they're bowling well, the England spinners within this county setup, but you were looking maybe for them to slow the deliveries down a little bit, maybe to give it a bit more air. What? I haven't really noticed anything different about Carson today than we saw on the first day.
No, he's still bowling the same way. Yes, he's bowling a decent length and line, but I think he just needs to vary his pace a little bit, try and give the ball a bit more air, try and drag the batsman out a little bit more.
Patterson-White bowls. Again, that's quite quick and defensively into the offside. Gosh, I always feel as though I need to say I'm not making excuses when I'm not making excuses for players. But these lads, the county 11, they've been up and down the country. They've been around playing a lot of cricket. It's their job, and they enjoy it. And defensively push back to Patterson-White. So, but their coaches, as well as they themselves, I'm not too sure as they'll fancy a full day of this. Really,
I'm not sure they would.
No,
I'm not sure anybody would.
Vihari on 3, and again, Vihari just thought there for a moment of just using the wrist, but the danger there is it just pops up to the man at forward short leg to take the catch, so he kept it down and a little bit more in front of him, not so square. Patterson-White again bowls and just back with length and played down towards the third man area. They'll go scampering after that and come back for 2. Yes, there's a challenge and a battle out in the middle between batters and bowlers, and the fielders of course will do their best to back up their bowlers as they can, but there's not too much noise. But wasn't that a funny thing that happened late yesterday afternoon? If you weren't listening to us, we just briefly touch on that as we see here Vihari on 5 face this next ball from Patterson-White. And again, there's the more runs. Will there be 1 or 2, maybe a couple? Comes back for a second. In fact, he's running hard for that second run and he gets it. But it's like a switch. I talked about it yesterday. This is India. All pretty quiet out there. And then it was almost as if what we call our effects microphone, or a microphone that's outside of the room here, which picks up the noise and the sound of what's going on there. It was almost as if I'd forgotten, as has happened in the past, but it wasn't the case yesterday, as Patterson-White bowls and pushed into the offside. There'll be no run through. It wasn't me, honestly, but it was like we'd switched on that microphone, wasn't it? And there was a real noise and a few wickets fell immediately afterwards.
Yeah, suddenly we realized that suddenly there's a lot of buzz, and I got up and I started looking down, seeing that if anybody is doing it there, but then I realized it's out in the middle. All the players suddenly woke up, and suddenly they got those 4 wickets in a very, very quick time after that. The intensity was out there. They suddenly wanted to get them all out, and it happened too.
Yeah, it did. There was a change in what was going on. Anyway, the most important thing is no matter what and how it's played out today, I think we're still going to get our lunch, lads. That's the important news. It's coming through. 98 for 1, India on the now that's got through, but it hasn't hit the stumps. I'm not too sure in the end what that did come off. He goes back to play it, and I think he missed it. A little bit inside edge, but just down in front of the stumps, but rolls just away from them. So, an interesting delivery. This is Pujara we're talking about on 38. And Carson comes forward again into the offside, and no run. So this lead 189 runs. I think the board may have got stuck, I'm not too sure. Anyway, Dave Brace goes along, so I mean, it fills me with great confidence because I know he'll make it all right. There won't be a run out there onto the onside. Is the board stuck there, Dave? I think it has, isn't it?
I've got 98 for 1.
Yeah, well, that would be the score anyway that's coming from that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's right. It may be that things have frozen a little. Maybe we're going through it now. It's catching up now. We're okay. Oh, it's caught. Pujara's gone. And he's been caught there by that fielder, just positioning himself low down, a close sort of leg slip area. And another wicket for Carson. So the board will catch up now and put 2 next to his name. So he's had a breakthrough. And it is the wicket of Pujara. He's gone for 38 or 57 deliveries. And the trap worked.
Yeah, I think it's the young man from Leicestershire, isn't it? Rehan Ahmed, who gone in there at short leg, very close on the leg side, pouched a good catch. Jack Carson getting his 2nd wicket of the morning. 98 for 2. It is Ahmed who's credited with the catch. Cheteshwar Pujara faced 58 balls at 5 fours, batted for an hour and 3/4 or thereabouts.
No, I don't want to upset you, Dave. You know that. I don't like upsetting you. But word reaches me that he may be one that Nottinghamshire have missed out on, let go. I think it was part of the Nottinghamshire setup and he's now with Leicestershire.
Ahmed?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was part of the representative teams. He's still only very young. As a spinner, but you need to be careful there. Don't want to be letting these boys go away, especially down to Leicester.
Well, Abby was spot on, wasn't he? He said despite Jadeja getting 75 in the first innings, he would be one that would be wanting another bat today, and that's exactly what's happened. Ravindra Jadeja out there. Wonder if he might look to try and get after the young spinner here. I know he's just fresh at the crease, but
got 2 balls left to this over.
He's already had a good long old bat in this game, hasn't he, Jadeja? Wonder if he might look to just try and play a few expansive shots.
It was 146 balls he faced for his 75. He actually lost his wicket to Craig Miles in the end, caught by Libby in the first innings. But yep, he's come back out for another knock.
Don't know if you heard me saying, and you obviously know yourself, Carson born in Northern Ireland. There's not too many of those around in county cricket at the moment, is there?
No. Next delivery, and that's Jadeja playing that safely onto the onside. I understand he's a spirited cricketer as well, my colleague Adrian, and he's got something about him. He's a tall lad, he's a tall spinner, and he comes past the umpire, fires that one in and played square on the offside, and Jadeja will be off the mark with a single. And the score moves to 99 for 2, India here with a lead of 190 runs. And Carson has completed 8 overs, 2 for 27.
Yeah, it's win-win for these young lads, isn't it? Coming in, nobody sort of expects them to come into a game like this and totally dominate experienced Test match players. It's a great experience for them. Whatever you take out of it, it's going to serve you well as you go back to your counties. And obviously in the case of Carson here, he's picked up a couple of very good scalps this morning. Got Pujara in the first innings, so he'll be calling him his bunny. Kevin's got him both innings.
I suggest he doesn't. Not loudly.
Liam Patterson-White to continue. We're about 15 minutes away from the lunch break. 99 for 2. India began their second innings at the start of play this morning, and the left-hander Jadeja has a single. Just blocks this one. It runs out as far as Lyndon James, who returns the ball to his county teammate, and next delivery is blocked. Tell the amount of work that Patterson-White has been doing on the ball this morning by that telltale red smear down the left-hand side of his flannels. He's in again and balls. Jadeja punches this down the ground to Washington Sundar. He'll take a single, and that's the Indian 100 coming up. We're in the 27th over, so certainly helped by having the 2 spinners on. The over 8's been very good once again. It's scheduled to be a 90 over day, but I guess later on we'll just have to see if and when India feel they've had enough out of this game. Next ball punched to extra cover by Vihari, who himself played a bit of county cricket at the start of this year for Warwickshire. 100 for 2. Next ball again blocked by Hanuma Vihari. Next delivery pushed back to the bowler, and 100 for 2, the end of Liam Patterson-White's 4th over, none for 16. Vihari played here actually at the start of the season. It was a little chilly back in April when he played here, but disappointing return with the bat. 8 and a duck for Vihari on this ground for Warwickshire against Durham. So we'll be looking to exercise 1 or 2 demons there and get a good score today. 100 for 2 India as we close in on the lunch break, and as Kevin was saying during the time we're off the field here, there'll be a little bit of Royal London One Day Cup for listeners to BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra to enjoy.
That is correct. Jadeja on 2, and it's bowling of Carson. Spinners both ends, and Carson's end is the Lumley end. Worked way onto the onside. More numbers coming through. I'm sure even if you're following us there in India and South Asia, you'll know there's a big night for cricket in England with the introduction of a new format, a new competition called the 100, and again that is smothered into the onside. Well, numbers coming through in terms of TV or platform viewing, which is all sorts of things. It's TV and it's sort of online on the computer and that sort of thing. Jadeja on 2, worked up to mid-on, and they will go through for a single. And India moved to 101 for 2 now. But according to Wisdom, the game received a peak audience of 1.95 million viewers, with 3.8 million viewers in total. That's a record in women's cricket match in the UK, beating the 1.24 million peak audience for the third England-India T20 8 days ago. So that's a mixture of both free-to-air TV and also satellite TV, so behind paywall TV. Back and turned away onto the onside. And a single, and also the biggest take-up of tickets being sold for the 100 took place yesterday, which sort of logic, I suppose there's a bit of logic to that really once the competition has got started, but and obviously it's a matter of some contention. I don't think there's much contention about the women's game for the 100, but there is about the men's game, and this one is pushed into the offside and no run. But whichever way you're looking at it, and people will look at it whichever way they want to, they strike me as very impressive figures for the opening of a new competition. Jadeja on 3, and Carson comes around the wicket in bowls. Oh, an LBW, but I thought surely he had plenty of bat on that first, didn't he? Some bat anyway onto the onside, completes that over 10 minutes before lunch on the third day of a game which has been played with high intensity and competitive spirit, but maybe just starting to drop off here a little now. The lead of 193, Vihari on 8, Jadeja on 3, and Carson's bowled 9 overs. He's taken 2 for 29.
Yes, on the ride up this morning, a little foggy actually for a part of the way, but at the old Radio 2 breakfast show on, and Isha Gua was a guest on there talking about the 100, and came across very well indeed. There's Liam Patterson-White bowling to Vihari, just drops this on the leg side, helps himself to a single. We're probably about 8 minutes or so away from the lunch break, so with the 2 spinners on, that's possibly around about 3 overs. So pretty decent effort this morning with the ball from the first class counties 11, and they've made 2 breakthroughs. Agarwal out for 47, Pujara for 38. Patterson-White bowls. Next one is clipped to Craig Miles on the onside, no run. 103 for 2. Next ball through to the keeper. So today, really across the BBC, there's cricket for all sorts of devotees, with first class game going on here. 103 for 2. This one's taken just outside the off stump by young keeper Root. 5 Royal London one-day cup matches, all the scores, and you can access the commentary via the BBC Sport website. And obviously this evening it's the men's turn in the 100 competition. Next one is cut away. There'll be a couple of runs. Rob Yates after it at point, running towards the Lumley side of the ground. In fact, they're going to turn. Well, I was going to say they're going to turn and come back for 3. Jadeja turned and was halfway back, and Vihari didn't want to know, so Jadeja had to quickly put the brakes on and go back. 105 for 2. Couple of cricket birthdays today. Trent Boult is 32.
For those that don't know, he loves his birthdays, says Dave.
New Zealand fast bowler. This one's gone through to the keeper. He's had a lot of success in the old IPL, hasn't he, for the Mumbai Indians of late. Trent Boult, enjoy watching him bowl. And Suleiman Ben is 40 today, West Indian slow left arm spinner of a not too distant era.
He's big on his birthdays, but he never sends them cards. Which is very harsh, really.
Remember Suleiman Ben?
Oh yes, yeah. The bit that I don't like is when you read out ages next to these names, after these names. That's the bit I'm not so keen on. Vihari's on 9. India 105 for 2. At lead of 196. And Carson's continuing to bowl his spin from the far end. And looking to get it past the fielder, and he does, because it's a slight misfield there. But maybe I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he sort of bumped on the edge of the square there, and therefore they'll go through for 1. Shouldn't have been a single, but there was.
Rob Yates in his Warwickshire cap. Churchy say on the first day it's a little bit like watching the Barbarians play rugby. Yeah, they're all in whites. That bit is similar, but they've all got their own distinctive county cap on.
And again, Carson in, bowls, leans back and whipped away. This time it's well past the fielder Yates, but it's one for Hameed to retrieve. Doesn't have too far to move to get to that ball, square on the offside. So 1 more to the total. Graham Clark has scored a century for Durham. Of course, we're at the home of Durham County Cricket Club here at Emirates Riverside. So he's going well in the Royal London One Day Cup. They're taking on Kent at Beckenham. Next delivery, bowled and driven hard and firm towards extra cover. They'll go through again and miss field. It's just starting just to look a little bit sloppy at times out there, and the concentration is required again. 108 for 2, but it's tough. It's a hard ask.
Also, I'd throw in there they've perhaps had 1 or 2 unfortunate bobbles in.
Yeah, well, I said that for the first one, and maybe you're right on that second again there, Dave. Yeah, you're quite right. Next ball, leans back up onto his toes and push square and right arm throw, and that would have been out. That would have been a direct hit, but bounces over the top of the stumps, and therefore they make their ground. Well, there's a little bit of action out there, a little bit of jeopardy and risk being taken, but 109 for 2 India are with the lead of exactly 200 runs.
He had to motor then, Jadeja, really did.
Balls again and onto the onside. Oohs and ahs, a little bit of noise as well. They can make that noise now because they've only got 4 minutes before they go off for lunch.
Yep.
Then we'll see what happens post that. We've got 20 in the 30th over. Next ball, and that's pushed back up to the bowler, and there will be no run off that final delivery there. 109 for 2.
Really came
200 runs.
Sorry, Kev. It really came across yesterday what you were talking about with Abhishek, the intensity of the Indian side in the latter part of the day. It just seemed to pick up, didn't it? All at once, and did bring 1 or 2 wickets. I think it was a frustrating afternoon with Hameed batting through it and some decent partnerships. Kept them out there perhaps a little longer than they thought. Maybe when they had the county 11:30 odd for 3 in the morning session, they thought it might just be a bit of a breeze. Here's Patterson-White to bowl to Jadeja, and he lets this go through to the keeper. We're at the Emirates Riverside. I think I'm right in saying this is the most northerly test ground, or the most northerly ground to have staged test cricket. Yeah. Kevin's looking at me.
No, I'm just thinking.
I can see the big think bubble come out.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that massive international you've forgotten between Iceland and Norway, which goes back 10 years or so. Have you forgotten that one?
109 for 2. Jadeja pushes out onto the onside, fielded by Craig Miles. Is it Dunedin that's the most southerly?
Probably, and because it can get chilly there. It can get chilly down there. They call it the Edinburgh, don't they, in New Zealand? The Edinburgh of the southern hemisphere.
109 for 2. Next one again pushed to Craig Miles in the floppy hat. Around about 3 minutes to go to lunch, so there'll be another over after this one. Next one's whipped away. Be at least a couple of runs here. Fancy to Ravindra Jadeja. Decent enough session for India. 111 for 2 now. So if you're listening on 5 Live Sports Extra, remember, stay with us during the lunch break when there will be a little bit of Royal London One Day Cup cricket for you to enjoy if you're watching on the Durham live stream and want to take that in. And it's on 5 Live Sports Extra. A push up to Washington Sundar at mid-on here, and a single sharply taken. I don't think Sundar's going to throw down the stumps to dismiss one of his India teammates. He doesn't. 112 for 2 at the end of the penultimate over of the session.
Yep, should get one more in. Everybody shaping up and taking position to do so. And it still remains very cloudy, low cloud around. And despite that breeze, it's not shifting anywhere anytime soon by the looks of it.
Not a birthday, but I did have one other thing connected with today. 22nd of July 2010. Mattia Muralitharan took his 800th and final test wicket and then retired.
Next ball bowled and played square on the offside. There'll be no run. And his 800th, but that's it, some stunning figures as well. Was that Gaul?
Yes, yes.
Was it 8 for or something? Amazing, what a way to go out. Next ball, plays back and whipped up to mid-on. Jadeja remains on 10, straight to the fielder. 2 slips in, still, still looking for the wicket, still looking to make life tricky here for India. On the last day of this 3-day first-class match, plays back and played away fine. Lyndon James right arm throw to the keeper. As I say, I've really enjoyed the fact that we've had a 17-year-old keeper out there, James Rue. I think we may see just a little bit more of in the coming years. He has reason to leave the ground pleased with his efforts. Next ball, again defended by Vihari, so both the not-out batters are on 11. Vihari and Jadeja, but it's Vihari facing, well actually both of them on the 11 and both of them face 26 deliveries. Who would have thought? What a coincidence. Again, worked up to, well, tries to get it to mid-on, but it's cut off halfway there. But eventually makes his way to Sundar. 1 ball left, and that will then be lunch. And it's Carson to bowl that delivery. Plays